I'm the woman who destroyed her own relationship because she couldn't stop complaining. And now everyone thinks my ex is the villain when I practically shoved him into another woman's arms. They see him with her, laughing, touching, completely transformed, and they tell me he's cruel for moving on so fast. But here's what nobody knows: I spent 6 months telling him he wasn't enough. My friends want to rally around me, organize interventions, help me heal from his betrayal. My mom calls daily to say I dodged a bullet. Meanwhile, I'm drowning in this sick guilt because I watch them together through social media, through mutual friends' stories, and I see the version of Ryan I kept demanding but never actually wanted when it showed up. The worst part? I've been pretending I'm devastated by his abandonment when really I'm terrified everyone will find out I engineered the whole disaster. I'm going to tell you everything, the exact words I used that pushed him away, the specific moment I realized what I'd done and tried to backtrack, and the worst part, what I did after he left that makes me genuinely question who I am as a person. Because the story everyone believes about poor Melissa whose boyfriend replaced her is missing the part where I practically wrote the instruction manual. Ryan and I had been together 3 years when I started getting restless. Not because anything was wrong, that's what made it so confusing. He was steady, reliable. He came home every night at 6:15, kissed my forehead, asked about my day with genuine interest. We had dinner together, watched our shows, made love on Wednesdays and Saturdays with comfortable familiarity. He remembered my coffee order, my period schedule, which podcasts I hated when he controlled the car radio. But I was 28, and everyone around me seemed to be having these explosive, passionate relationships full of spontaneity and adventure. My coworker Jenna went ziplining with her boyfriend at midnight on a Tuesday. My college roommate posted photos from a surprise weekend in Montreal. Her girlfriend had just grabbed her passport and driven 6 hours. Even my younger sister was dating a guy who took her salsa dancing, rock climbing, to speakeasies hidden behind bookshelf doors. Ryan took me to Olive Garden for our anniversary. Same booth we sat in on our first date. He thought it was romantic. I smiled and said it was perfect while something inside me withered a little. I started making comments. Little ones at first. Wouldn't it be fun to just drive somewhere random this weekend? He'd agree, then suggest we check the weather and make a plan. We should try something new in bed. He'd ask what I had in mind, genuinely eager, and I'd realize I didn't actually know. I just wanted him to know. I wanted him to surprise me with desires I didn't have to articulate. The comments got sharper. You never do anything spontaneous. When did we get so boring? Remember when we used to have fun? He'd look confused, sometimes hurt, and ask what I wanted to do differently. But I couldn't explain it. I just wanted him to be different. 3 months into my vague dissatisfaction, I said the thing I can't take back. We were getting ready for bed, him in the same gray t-shirt he'd worn for years, me suddenly furious about toothpaste routines and predictability. I need someone more adventurous, I said. In bed, in life, I need more than this. Ryan went completely still. What does that mean? I don't know, just more excitement, passion, someone who takes charge instead of always asking what I want. You want to break up? I panicked. I didn't want to break up. I wanted him to fight for me, to transform into someone unpredictable and thrilling while somehow remaining the safe person who knew my coffee order. No, I'm just saying we need to shake things up. He nodded slowly. Okay, I'll try. That should have been my first warning. Ryan was never a try person. He was all in or all out, but I was too busy feeling validated that he'd agreed something needed fixing. He started trying. God, did he try? He surprised me with concert tickets to a band I'd mentioned once in passing. I complained the venue was too far and we'd hit traffic. He suggested we go rock climbing. I said I'd break a nail, and besides, wasn't that just copying my sister? He attempted to initiate sex differently, pushed me against the kitchen counter one morning, and I froze and said I was running late for work. Every attempt I found fault. Because here's what I'm ashamed to admit: I didn't actually want him to change. I wanted him to change. I wanted the problem to be him so I didn't have to examine why I was so dissatisfied with a good relationship. The trying lasted about 6 weeks. Then he stopped. He went back to being regular Ryan: work, home, dinner, predictability, except quieter now. He watched me differently, like he was studying something he no longer understood. You gave up, I said one night. You're not even trying anymore. Melissa, what do you actually want? I told you: adventure, spontaneity, passion. You shot down everything I suggested. You got annoyed when I surprised you. What does adventure even look like to you? I didn't have an answer. I just knew this wasn't it. Maybe you need to find someone else, he said quietly. Someone who's naturally more what you're looking for. Are you breaking up with me? No, I'm saying maybe you should think about what you really want. I should have heard the resignation in his voice. Instead, I heard permission. Permission to keep complaining, keep pushing, keep expecting him to read my mind and deliver desires I couldn't name. A month later, I came home to rose petals. They made a path from the front door to the bedroom where candles were lit and he'd set up a whole romantic scene. Music playing, wine chilled, new lingerie laid out on the bed in my size. I burst into tears, angry tears. What's wrong? Ryan looked genuinely baffled. This is so click, rose petals, really? This is what you think I want? You said romance, passion, I thought. Every basic guy does rose petals and candles. I wanted something unique, something that shows you actually know me. I bought you the lingerie from that boutique you love. I picked the wine we had on our first vacation. The song playing is the one you sang along to in the car last week. How is that not showing I know you? But I was already storming out, furious in a way I couldn't justify even to myself. I spent the night at Jenna's, complaining about performative romance and men who didn't understand emotional nuance. She listened, agreed with everything I said, validated my frustration. When I came home the next day, the petals were cleaned up. The candles gone. Ryan was on the couch and he didn't look up when I walked in. I met someone, he said. My stomach dropped. What? At the rock climbing gym, the one I kept going to even after you said no. Her name's Vanessa, she's a climbing instructor. Are you cheating on me? No, but she asked me for coffee and I said yes because I wanted to talk to someone who didn't make me feel like I was constantly failing. He finally looked at me. I didn't go. I came home and cleaned up the roses instead. But I wanted to go, Melissa, that's the problem. So you're interested in someone else. I'm interested in not feeling like shit about myself every single day. With you, nothing I do is right. You want adventure but reject every adventure. You want passion but critique how I deliver it. You want spontaneity but get angry when I surprise you. He rubbed his face. I don't know what you want anymore. I'm not sure you do either. I want you to care enough to figure it out. I've been trying to figure it out for months, but you keep moving the target. He stood up and I'd never seen him look so exhausted. I love you, but I can't keep failing tests I don't know I'm taking. That's when I should have stopped, apologized, recognized I'd been impossible. Instead, I said maybe you should have had that coffee with Vanessa. Maybe she'd appreciate you since I apparently don't. Ryan looked at me for a long moment. Yeah, maybe I should have. He left, just walked out. Came back an hour later, packed a bag, said he was staying at his brother's for a few days. We both needed space to think. I spent those days oscillating between righteous anger and creeping dread. My friends reinforced the anger. He was emotionally checking out, practically admitting to an emotional affair, abandoning me instead of working through problems. But alone at night, I kept replaying moments. All my criticisms, all his attempts, all the ways I'd rejected him while demanding he be rejected. On day 4, I texted him. Come home. We need to talk. I've been thinking about everything. He replied, I've been thinking too. I'm going to stay at Jake's for a while longer. I need more time. Day 7, Ryan, please. I know I've been difficult. Let's work on this. I'm not sure there's anything to work on. You've made it clear I'm not what you need. Day 10, I love you. I don't want to lose you. Can we at least talk face to face? He finally agreed to meet for coffee. Neutral territory. I prepared a whole speech about couples therapy, about my issues, about wanting to try. I was ready to finally be honest about my own restlessness and uncertainty. He showed up looking different. Not physically, same Ryan, same dark hair, same build, but something in how he carried himself. Lighter maybe, or just less burdened. I had coffee with Vanessa, he said before I could launch into my prepared words. The coffee shop noise disappeared. What? After you said maybe I should, I thought about it and realized you were right, not about her specifically. About me needing to talk to someone who didn't make me feel inadequate. He paused. We've been climbing together, rock climbing. The thing you said was boring and derivative when I suggested it. Turns out I really love it. So you are cheating? We've grabbed coffee 3 times and gone climbing twice, that's it. But Melissa, here's the thing, I laugh with her. I try things and she gets excited instead of picking apart how I tried them. When I suggested we grab dinner after climbing yesterday, she said yes without analyzing whether it was creative enough. He met my eyes. She makes me remember I'm actually a decent person. You are a decent person, I never said you weren't. You've spent 6 months treating me like a disappointing puzzle you can't solve. Do you know what that does to someone? Trying everything you can think of and watching the person you love look at you with frustration every single time. My speech evaporated. I wanted more from us, from life. And I wanted to give that to you. But you didn't want more, you wanted something you couldn't define, and you made me responsible for your unhappiness with our perfectly good relationship. So what, you're breaking up with me for some climbing instructor? I'm breaking up with you because I spent last week feeling more like myself than I have in half a year. Not because of Vanessa specifically. Because I wasn't walking on eggshells waiting to disappoint someone. He pulled out an envelope. I signed a lease on an apartment, I'm moving out. Ryan, wait, please, I know I've been awful, I can change, we can go to therapy, I'll stop criticizing. You shouldn't have to stop criticizing, you should be with someone who makes you happy, not someone you constantly want to change. He stood up. I hope you find whatever you're looking for, I really do, but I can't be your test subject anymore. He left. I sat there for 20 minutes unable to move. When I finally made it to my car, I called Jenna and sobbed the whole story. She was appropriately outraged. He'd been having an emotional affair, he'd already found someone else before even trying therapy, he'd given up. But underneath her validation, I felt the truth writhing. I pushed him to this. Systematically, consistently pushed him until he found someone who didn't push back. I wish I could say that's when I became self-aware. Started therapy, worked on myself. Instead, I got mean. I posted on social media about betrayal and men who give up when relationships take work. Vague enough to seem dignified, specific enough that everyone knew I meant Ryan. My friends rallied. Comments flooded in about my strength, his loss, better things coming. Ryan didn't respond, didn't defend himself, just quietly moved into his new place and kept climbing with Vanessa. I started going to the same coffee shop where I knew he grabbed his morning coffee. Coincidentally showing up, looking devastated, letting mutual friends see me trying to be brave. I'd time it so I'd leave just as he arrived, forcing brief, awkward interactions where I played the wounded party with grace. He never took the bait, just offered polite nods and moved on with his day. 2 months after the breakup, Jenna showed me his Instagram. He'd posted a photo from a climbing trip, him and Vanessa at the summit of something, both grinning, sweat-covered, and triumphant. The caption, "Best Adventure Partner." She'd commented 3 heart emojis. I threw up, literally ran to the bathroom and vomited from pure rage and jealousy. "He's flaunting her," Jenna said, disgusted. "That's so disrespectful to you." But I was staring at his face in that photo. The joy was so genuine, so unguarded. I realized I hadn't seen him look that happy in over a year, maybe longer. That night I did something I'm deeply ashamed of. I created a fake Instagram account and followed both of them. I needed to see what made her so special, what she gave him that I couldn't. Her profile was public, full of climbing photos, hiking adventures, skydiving videos. She taught adaptive climbing for people with disabilities, volunteered at animal shelters, posted enthusiastic exclamation point-filled captions about simple things, good coffee, perfect weather, her students' progress. She was uncomplicated, enthusiastic. She seemed to find joy easily and share it freely. I hated her, not for being with Ryan, but for being everything I demanded he be: spontaneous, adventurous, passionate about life. And worse, for making those things look effortless instead of like an achievement to be earned. 3 months post-breakup, mutual friends started carefully mentioning that Ryan and Vanessa were getting serious. "I know it's hard," my friend Marcus said, "but he seems really happy. I think we need to support that. He left me for her." They barely waited a month before going public. "Melissa," Marcus looked uncomfortable. "You know that's not exactly what happened." "What does that mean?" "You told me yourself you spent months telling him he wasn't enough. Then when he tried to fix things, you shot down everything. From the outside, it looked like you wanted him to leave." "I never wanted him to leave. I wanted him to be better." Marcus went quiet. "Then better than what?" "Ryan's great. He's kind, he's thoughtful, he shows up." What exactly needed to be better? I couldn't answer, because the truth was nothing about Ryan needed to be better. My restlessness had nothing to do with him and everything to do with me comparing my relationship to everyone else's highlight reels. "He gave up without fighting," I finally said. "Did he? Because I remember you telling me about concert tickets, climbing rose petals, trying new things in bed. Sounds like he fought pretty hard. You just kept changing the rules." That conversation haunted me for weeks. I started actually thinking about Ryan's attempts instead of dismissing them. The concert tickets were to a band I'd mentioned loving in college. He'd remembered from a conversation months prior. The rock climbing was something I'd said looked fun when we passed a gym. The rose petals and candles were cheesy, yes, but he'd paired them with specific personal touches I'd ignored in my outrage. He'd been listening, trying, and I'd punished him for not reading my mind perfectly. 4 months after the breakup, I saw them together in person, at a farmer's market downtown. They were laughing at a vegetable stand, actually laughing over zucchini or something equally mundane. He had his arm around her waist. She was leaning into him. They looked like those couples I'd envied on Instagram, casual and connected. I watched from behind a honey vendor's stand. Watched Ryan be playful, spontaneous, affectionate, all the things I'd claimed he wasn't. Watched Vanessa respond with uncomplicated delight, no analysis or criticism. At one point he grabbed her hand and pulled her toward a busker playing guitar. Started dancing with her right there on the sidewalk, badly and unselfconsciously. She laughed and danced back, equally terrible at it. People smiled at them. I once told Ryan that dancing in public was attention-seeking when he'd wanted to at a street festival. He looked hurt but stopped immediately and we'd walked on in silence. I left before they could see me. Went home and finally let myself cry for real. Not performative crying for friends or social media. Actual, ugly sobbing over what I destroyed. That night I did the worst thing, the thing I promised myself I'd never tell anyone. I texted Ryan from my real number. "I miss you. I know I messed up. Can we talk?" He didn't respond for 6 hours. "Then I don't think that's a good idea. Please, just coffee. I need closure." "Melissa, we had closure at the coffee shop 4 months ago. I've been in therapy, working on myself. I understand now what I did wrong. This was a lie. I hadn't started therapy. I thought about it but hadn't actually made an appointment." Another hour passed. "Then I'm glad you're getting help, but I've moved on. I need you to respect that." I should have stopped. Any decent person would have stopped. Instead, I called him. He didn't answer. I called again and again. On the 4th call, he picked up. "Melissa, you need to stop. I know I was terrible. I know I pushed you away. But we were together 3 years, doesn't that deserve one more conversation? We've had the conversation multiple times. His voice was tired but firm. I understand you weren't happy, I understand you were figuring things out, but I'm with someone now who makes me happy and I need you to let me move forward. With Vanessa. I couldn't keep the venom out of my voice. The rebound climbing instructor. Don't do that. Don't make her the villain in a story where you and I just weren't right for each other anymore. We were right, we were perfect until I screwed it up, doesn't that mean we can fix it? No, he said it gently but absolutely. It means we were good until we weren't, and now I'm good with someone else, someone who actually wants the person I am. I want the person you are, you want the person you feel guilty about losing, that's different. He paused. I need to go. Please don't call again. He hung up. I immediately called back. It went straight to voicemail. I realized he'd blocked my number. I stared at my phone, shaking with rage and humiliation. Then I did the thing I can barely admit even now. I messaged Vanessa from my fake Instagram account. Hey, I don't know if you know this, but Ryan's ex is telling people he cheated on her with you. Just thought you should know what you're dealing with. I watched the message go from delivered to read. Watched the 3 dots appear as she typed, then disappear, then appear again. Finally, thanks for the heads up, but Ryan and I are good. We know what happened and that's what matters. The calmness of her response made me furious. I wanted her to doubt him, to question their relationship, to feel even a fraction of what I was feeling. I typed, just seems weird that he had your number before you were officially broken up. But you do you. This time, no response. But I saw her go offline and some sick part of me felt satisfied. I'd planted a seed. Maybe she'd ask him about it, maybe they'd fight, maybe I could create even a small crack in their perfect new relationship. 10 minutes later, my real Instagram got a DM request from Ryan. I know that was you messaging Vanessa. I don't know how, but I know. This is beyond inappropriate. I'm asking you one last time, leave us alone. If you contact either of us again, I'll have to get a formal cease and desist. Please get help. He'd seen through my fake account somehow. Of course he had. He'd always been perceptive about me, even when I didn't want him to be. The humiliation was crushing. I'd been reduced to this, stalking my ex and his new girlfriend, creating fake accounts, trying to sabotage their happiness because I couldn't stand my own misery. I deleted the fake account. Then I did something I should have done months earlier. I actually made a therapy appointment. My therapist, Dr. Coleman, asked me in our first session why I was there. I destroyed my relationship and I don't know why, I said. Over the next few months, we unpacked it. My relationship comparisons, my inability to articulate needs, my tendency to blame Ryan for my general life dissatisfaction. The way I'd sabotaged his attempts to change because I didn't actually want him different. I wanted to want him, and I punished him for my own ambivalence. It sounds like you were afraid, Dr. Coleman said during one session. Afraid that being happy with a stable, loving relationship meant you were boring, settling, missing out on something more exciting. But everyone else seemed to have more exciting relationships. Did they? Or did they just post the exciting moments while living through the same day-to-day routine everyone experiences? I thought about Jenna, whose adventurous boyfriend had actually broken up with her 2 months ago because, as she'd admitted privately, the spontaneity was exhausting and he refused to ever just stay home. My sister's salsa dancing boyfriend was loving and fun, but also unemployed and living off her income, causing constant stress she didn't Instagram. I'd been comparing Ryan's reality to everyone else's curated highlights, and he'd paid the price for my impossible standards. 6 months post-breakup, Ryan and Vanessa got engaged. I saw the announcement through a friend's repost before I could stop myself from looking. They were on a mountaintop, her hand extended to show the ring, both of them windswept and beaming. The caption, she said yes at the summit. Can't wait for the next adventure. Comments poured in with congratulations. Several mutual friends commented, people who'd known about me and Ryan who now cheerfully celebrated his new chapter. One of Ryan's college friends commented, finally found your adventure partner, so happy for you both. The word finally gutted me, like I'd been a placeholder, an obstacle between him and his real life. But then Marcus's girlfriend commented, you deserve someone who loves who you are, so happy you found each other. That was worse, because I had loved who Ryan was. I'd just been too confused and dissatisfied with myself to let that be enough. I cried for 3 days. Real grief this time, not anger or entitlement. I grieved the relationship I'd had and destroyed. The good man I'd pushed away. The version of myself who'd been so unhappy she'd made everyone around her miserable too. Dr. Coleman and I processed it in therapy. You're grieving the loss, she said, but also the person you were when you couldn't appreciate what you had. That's healthy. I ruined everything. You made mistakes in a relationship. That's human. What matters is what you learn from it. I learned I'm terrible and self-sabotaging and I'll probably die alone. Or you learn that you need to understand your own needs before blaming a partner for not meeting undefined expectations. That social media comparison is toxic. That stability isn't boring, it's rare and valuable. Those are useful lessons for your next relationship. There won't be a next relationship. No one will want me after this. Melissa, you're not a villain, you're someone who was unhappy and handled it poorly. Most people have a relationship like that in their past. But I didn't feel like most people. I felt like someone who'd had something precious and smashed it out of vague, undefined dissatisfaction. 8 months after the breakup, I was at a work happy hour when a guy approached me. Tom from accounting, nice enough, had asked me out a few months back and I'd vaguely said I wasn't ready. You look like you're in a better place, he said. Would you want to grab dinner sometime? I almost said no automatically. But Dr. Coleman and I had been working on my tendency to reject things before fully considering them. Sure, I said, that could be nice. We went to dinner. He was perfectly pleasant. Asked about my work, told funny stories about his dysfunctional family, suggested we split dessert. At the end, he walked me to my car and asked if he could see me again. I had a really nice time, I said, and it was easy, comfortable, uncomplicated. And the second I got home, I felt nothing but panic. The ease felt boring. The comfort felt stifling. I found myself analyzing whether he'd been spontaneous enough, creative enough in his conversation topics, exciting enough. I was doing it again, already. I called Dr. Coleman for an emergency session. I'm broken, I said. A nice guy took me to dinner and I immediately started picking it apart. I haven't learned anything. I'm going to do this forever. Or, she said calmly, you caught yourself doing it. That's progress. The pattern won't disappear overnight, but recognizing it is the first step to changing it. What if I can't change it? What if I'm just someone who can't be satisfied? Then you need to figure out what you're actually dissatisfied with. Because I don't think it's the men. I think it's something in yourself you're avoiding by focusing on relationships. That session led to months of deeper work, unpacking my need for external validation, my fear that being happy with simple things meant I was unambitious or boring, my tendency to seek problems so I'd have something to fix instead of sitting with contentment. Turns out I'd spent years believing I needed more excitement, more adventure, more passion, when what I actually needed was to be okay with enough. A year after the breakup, I saw Ryan and Vanessa at a mutual friend's wedding. I debated not going, but Dr. Coleman encouraged me to face it. You can't avoid him forever, and seeing him happy might give you closure. They were sitting at a table across the room. Vanessa wore a blue dress, and her engagement ring caught the light. Ryan looked the same, older maybe, or just more settled into himself. They weren't doing anything particularly noteworthy, just talking and laughing with the people at their table. But what struck me was the ease between them. The way she touched his arm when making a point. The way he automatically refilled her water glass without interrupting his conversation. Small, unconscious acts of care and attention. I'd had that with Ryan once, before I decided it wasn't enough. During the cocktail hour, we ended up near each other at the bar. The first time we'd been this close in a year. Hi, he said, not cold but not warm either. Neutral. Hi, congratulations on the engagement. Thank you, I heard you're doing well. We stood in awkward silence. Everything I wanted to say, apologies, explanations, acknowledgments, stuck in my throat. I'm sorry, I finally managed. For how things ended, for how I treated you, you deserved better. Ryan looked at me carefully. I appreciate that, genuinely. He paused. Are you doing okay? I'm in therapy, working on myself, learning a lot about my issues. That's good, really. He seemed to mean it. You deserve to be happy, Melissa. I hope you find that. You look happy. I am. Simple and true. Vanessa's amazing. I'm very lucky. The bartender handed him 2 drinks. He nodded to me and headed back to his table. I watched him hand Vanessa her drink, watched her smile up at him, watched them return to their easy conversation. I wasn't jealous anymore, or at least not in the way I had been. I was envious of the ease, the uncomplicated joy they seemed to share. But I understood now that Ryan hadn't found those things with Vanessa because she was better than me. He'd found them because she let him be who he was without constantly demanding more. The question was whether I could ever be that person for myself or anyone else. I left the wedding early, not because seeing them hurt, but because I needed to sit with what I'd learned. Ryan had moved on completely, built a new life with someone who appreciated him, and I was still here working through the wreckage of my own making. 15 months after the breakup, I went on a 3rd date with someone new. Daniel, a teacher I'd met through friends. We did coffee, then dinner, and now he'd suggested we go to a local art museum's late-night event. We walked through galleries, making up stories about the paintings. He was silly and creative and present. At one point, standing in front of an abstract piece, he said, "This one makes me think of mornings, all chaotic and colorful before things get organized." "That's actually really perceptive," I said. He shrugged. "Or I'm completely full of it and it's just paint splatters." I laughed. And then I caught myself about to analyze whether his artistic interpretation was unique enough, whether suggesting a museum was too safe, whether I was feeling enough excitement. "Hey," I said, stopping in the middle of the gallery. "Can I tell you something weird?" "Sure. I'm really enjoying this, like genuinely. And part of my brain is trying to find problems with that, and I'm working really hard not to let it. So if I seem distracted, that's why. I'm fighting my own neuroses." Daniel looked at me for a moment, then he smiled. Okay, thanks for telling me. We can leave if you want, or stay, or go get ice cream, whatever feels right. What do you want to do? Honestly, I'm happy anywhere as long as we're talking. I like talking to you. It was such a simple statement, such a Ryan thing to say, I realized, straightforward and sincere. Let's stay, I said. I'm happy here too. We stayed another hour. I practiced being present, practicing not analyzing, practiced just enjoying something without needing it to be perfect or prove anything. It didn't fix me, didn't magically resolve years of comparison and dissatisfaction, but it was a start. Therapy continued. I dated Daniel for a few months before we mutually agreed we were better as friends. I went on first dates that didn't lead to second ones. I had a brief relationship with someone who actually was wrong for me, and I practiced ending it clearly instead of creating chaos. Slowly, I started understanding what I actually wanted, not adventure for adventure's sake, but connection. Not passion as performance, but genuine care and attention. Not someone who could read my mind, but someone I could actually communicate with. The things Ryan had offered all along. 2 years after the breakup, Ryan and Vanessa got married. I saw photos through social media. A mountain wedding, intimate and beautiful. She wore a simple dress. He cried during the vows. They looked ridiculously happy. I felt sad but not destroyed. I'd done this to myself. Pushed away someone good because I couldn't articulate or understand my own needs. And he found someone better suited to who he was. That was okay. It had to be okay. 3 years after the breakup, I matched with someone on a dating app. His name was Alex, and his profile mentioned loving routine, home-cooked meals, and boring Saturday mornings with good coffee and better company. Old me would have swiped left immediately. Routine, boring Saturdays, where was the adventure? But I swiped right. We met for coffee. He asked about my work and actually listened to the answer. Told me about his job as a librarian with genuine enthusiasm. Suggested we meet again, maybe for a walk around the lake near his place. That sounds really nice, I said, and meant it. Not too boring, he asked, and something in his expression suggested he'd been told that before. No, I said firmly. Not boring at all. Simple and nice are underrated. He smiled. We made plans for the following weekend. I don't know if Alex will be the person I end up with. I don't know if I've healed enough from my own patterns to build something healthy. But I'm trying. Actually trying, not performing, trying for someone else's benefit. I'm writing this now because yesterday I saw Ryan at a coffee shop. First time we'd crossed paths in over a year. He was with a toddler, his and Vanessa's daughter, I realized from photos I'd seen. She had his dark hair and her mom's enthusiastic energy, babbling about something while he patiently listened and responded. He saw me, smiled, a real smile, friendly and uncomplicated. Melissa, how are you? Good, really good actually. Is this your daughter? Yeah, Emma, she's 2 and never stops talking. He said it with exhausted pride. She's beautiful. Congratulations on everything. The wedding, the baby, all of it. Thank you. I heard you're with someone, Alex, right? Marcus mentioned it. The fact that he knew that he cared enough to remember was oddly comforting. Yeah, early days, but it's good, he's good. I'm glad, you deserve that. Emma demanded his attention with an urgent question about a dog outside. He listened gravely, answered her seriously, then glanced back at me. It was good seeing you, he said. You too, really. And it was. There was no anger, no resentment, no what-ifs. Just 2 people who'd been important to each other once, who'd hurt each other in different ways, now living separate lives. I watched him leave, Emma chattering the whole way, and I felt something settle in my chest. Not regret exactly, but acknowledgement. I did something good and I destroyed it through my own confusion and impossible standards. That was my responsibility to carry and learn from. But I was learning. Slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely. Learning that comparison is poison. That stability isn't boring. That adventure without connection is empty. That sometimes the person you need to change isn't your partner, it's yourself. I don't tell this story for sympathy or forgiveness. I tell it because I see versions of my old self everywhere. People complaining about perfectly good partners, chasing some undefined more, convinced their dissatisfaction must be someone else's fault. And I want to say, look harder at what you actually have before you destroy it, demanding something you can't even name. Ryan didn't abandon me. He didn't choose Vanessa over me. I spent 6 months systematically pushing him away, then acted shocked when he finally left. And when he found happiness elsewhere, I tried to paint myself as the victim of his cruelty instead of the architect of my own loss. The truth is messier and more shameful than the story everyone believed. I wasn't the woman whose adventurous boyfriend replaced her. I was the woman so dissatisfied with herself that she made him responsible for fixing her emptiness, then punished him when he couldn't solve a problem I wouldn't even properly explain. And now I live with that. With knowing I had someone who loved me, tried for me, would have built a life with me, and I threw it away chasing some imaginary version of passion that existed only in curated Instagram posts and my own restless fantasies. If I could go back, I'd tell myself that adventure isn't about spontaneous trips and grand gestures. It's about choosing someone every day, building something together, finding joy in the ordinary moments, morning coffee, familiar routines, comfortable silences. But I can't go back. I can only go forward, trying to be someone who appreciates what she has instead of destroying it by demanding more. So when you see the woman whose ex moved on too fast, whose new girlfriend seems to have appeared out of nowhere, whose friends rally around her heartbreak, consider that maybe, just maybe, you're not getting the whole story. Consider that maybe she spent months creating the exact situation she's now mourning. Consider that maybe I'm telling you this as a warning. Sometimes the person you need someone more adventurous than isn't your partner. It's yourself.